Hey guys, I'm April from Giggle Glitter Graphics, and today I'm assembling my Twilight Apothecary project kit. This kit is up in my Etsy shop, and you can find a link for it in the description down below. It has 4 different projects in it for you to put together, and we're going to go through those one by one today. There's also a free bonus 5th project that went out to my email list last Friday. So if you're not on my email list and you want to get that free project, you can find a link in the description as well to sign up for that email list and instantly get that kit sent to you. So let's go over a couple of things before we start assembling our projects. I have printed absolutely everything in this project kit on 110-pound cardstock. I've cut everything out already, and I have already inked all of the edges with vintage photo distress ink. For adhesives today, I'm going to be using primarily my Beacon Fabri-Tac. The glue stick might or might not make an appearance. I don't think it will. I think the Fabri-Tac is going to get me all the way through. The key with this is a glue with a fine point so that you can make thin lines of adhesive and keep it right on the edges of things like pockets. You can use any brand of glue you like. This just happens to be my favorite because it doesn't make the paper wrinkle and it dries really quickly. I've also cut all my pieces out using my Cricut machine. If you don't have a paper cutting machine and you need to do these by hand, it'll take a little bit of time, but it shouldn't be too bad. Just remember that if you have items like this that fold in half, just fold these in half and grab your scissors and follow those edges like this so that you can make things kind of even on both sides. And to let the hand holding the paper guide, don't try to turn your scissors. Just let that hand with the paper guide and then do your cutting. That's going to give you much smoother cuts. So let's get started assembling. I'm going to go through these one by one, and I will timestamp this video so that you can fast forward to the project that you currently want to assemble. So let's get started with what I'm calling the folder rack. I designed this to look like a rack you would put up on your wall and then tuck your file folders down inside. I want you to note that there are 1 or 2 panels that you should print the paper, the provided paper, on the reverse side of, and those are marked on the files themselves. The folders should get the provided paper printed on the inside, and optionally, you can print the paper on the back of this backer panel. If you're going to glue this into a journal or something like that, you can skip doing the back of this one. But if you're using it as a standalone project, then you can print it so it has a more finished look. There is a huge pile of ephemera that goes with this, and I'm going to push most of it to the side. There might even be too many pieces. We'll find out when we go to fill our folders up. But I figure better more than less. There are also 3 little labels that are going to go on our folders, and I will get to those in a moment. So let's talk about the folding for these. The folders have an asymmetrical fold so that the inside liner kind of peeks up above. So just be aware when folding it in half, there is a line provided on the tan side. So when you fold it in half, this line is not going to meet the very top of the folder. It's going to go just a bit below. So keep that in mind when folding the folders. And then for the pockets, you've got 3 tabs, and you're going to just fold those all in, 1, 2, 3, and then give them a nice crease with your thumbnail or a bone folder or the back of your scissors, whatever tool of your choice that you choose. So once you've got all of your pockets folded and all of your folders folded, I'm just going to move those folders to the side, and I'm going to work with the backer panel and the pockets. To apply the pockets, I'm just going to grab my Fabri-Tac. And you can put these in any order. I kind of like them to go light to kind of dark, but the order doesn't matter, whatever you prefer. And you might see that there's a little bit of adhesive and a little schmutz on here. I filmed this already and my sound wasn't working, so I had to peel them off. So let's just glue all 3 tabs. 1, 2, 3. And then I'm going to place this all the way at the bottom of the back panel. And then I'm just going to place my other 2 to kind of eyeball them. You want to leave a little room at the top because the folder is going to stick up once it's in the pocket. And I'm going to do my top one next. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to place that one right about there. And if you're not sure, if it feels like it might be too high, you can always pop in one of these folders kind of gently, try not to get any glue on it, and see. And I do feel like that's a little high, so I'm going to sketch this down just a little and then get my folder out of there and make sure I don't have any glue on the back of it. So you could also just kind of hold it up, I guess, and see. There we go. That would make more sense, wouldn't it? Just hold it up and make sure that the tab of your folder is kind of landing in a place that makes sense to you. And I'm going to center this third pocket right in between the other two. Like so. I'm going to give these all one more press and let them dry. While these are drying, I'm going to go ahead and pull my folders over. There we go, 1, 2, 3, and apply my labels. There's not a certain label for a certain folder, so don't overthink that part. Just a little glue. And then center that up on the tab for each folder. From here, we're going to make sure that everything is good and dry before we try to fill up our folders and put them into those pockets. So now everything is dry, so let's do the fun part and just stuff these full of goodies. So I like to kind of spread things out. You can be a little more methodical with what goes in what folder. But there's several different types of ephemera here. There's all kinds of things like labels and bottles and tags and all kinds of little things. So I'm just going to kind of disperse everything, and I'm going to see if I can cram all of this in here just by kind of dispersing it between, and then let's see how well they fit with everything included. There's a bunch of little receipts and drawings. Just tons of goodies for you to play with. And if you find that there's too much for your liking, just pull some of them aside and include them in one of the other projects from this kit. All right, so we've got the moment of truth. Let's see how everything slides down in here. And I would say that works pretty well. Right down in there. Be careful not to bend the corners of your folders like I just did. I got excited. And there it is. And that is the completed folder rack. The next project we're going to assemble is what I have labeled as the pouch. And this is a little pouch that you can flip open with pockets inside and see all the little goodies that there are to retrieve from it. So again, just like the previous project, there are 2 pages that you will need backer paper on. That is the page with this panel on it and the page with this panel on it. And you do need to do both of these so that the inside of the pouch is lined with a print. For folding, we have just the tab on this flip up panel. So you're going to fold that, and I like to fold it back and forth a couple of times so that that hinge gets broken in just a little bit. And then this larger panel has a crease right here at the top of the large panel. So you're going to make a flap out of that one. And again, I like to flip it back and forth just a couple times to work that crease in a bit. So I'm just going to move some of these extra pieces out of the way, keeping track of the pieces that I'm going to need. And let's start with this main panel and the tab. So this tab is going to glue at the very bottom of this main panel. So we've got the little flip there, and then this is going to flip up so that those two can meet. So I'm going to grab my Fabri-Tac and just run a little bead of glue along this tab. And then I'm going to place it so that it kind of meets this bottom edge. You want it to go right to it, nice and neat. and press that down. Check and make sure everything is straight, that we're lining up on the sides nicely, and that looks pretty good. Next, I'm going to put the pockets on the inside. These are layered pockets. They're going to go in like so. So I'm going to start with the floral pocket, and I am going to glue 3 sides. This short side here, the long bottom, and then up this long side. And I try to keep my bead of glue very thin and as close to the edge as possible. And then this is going to go right down by that hinge. And then I'm going to fold up and press so that if it needs a little room, it's going to kind of push that pocket up so this can open and close nicely. If it's too close to the hinge, then this isn't going to want to close. And that looks pretty good. And I'm going to repeat that for this second pocket that's going to go here. It's just flipped the other way. So a small bead of glue. And then line it up with the bottom of that first pocket. And then again, do the flip test. I always do the flip test. Anytime something is going near a folding joint, a hinge, I always fold and make sure. And then if your glue is a little wet, it'll kind of nudge the item away so that you have a folio or a pouch or a project that opens and closes properly. Next, I'm going to move down to this bottom panel, and I have a band here I'm going to create a belly band with. This is going to get a little line of glue on the short sides, the top and the bottom. And then I'm going to line this up all the way to the bottom, because again, this is sized so it can avoid that crease just a little bit. And then center that up on the panel. And you can do a flip test with this, but I did make that just a little short, so it shouldn't really be a problem. Next, we're going to move to the top panel, and I'm actually going to flip this up. Let's add the buttons really quickly. It does not matter which one you use on the inside and which one you use on the outside. I'm going to use the darker red one on the outside, and I'm going to put a little layer of glue on that and center it, and I'm going to make it so it hangs down over the edge. And then I'm going to turn this over and place the other button on the other side. That way this has a finished look whenever you open it up. So you can choose which one goes on the inside and which one goes on the outside. Now I'm going to decorate this top portion with this little band. I don't think it matters which way this goes. You can pick either direction. And this is a little belly band as well, so we're going to glue the very ends again. And place it kind of in the middle. I'm centering it more between this crease and the button than I am on the panel, because I'm going to layer this label over the top of it, and it looks a little more visually appealing if it's in between the button and the crease. And for this, I'm just going to run my glue in a thin line down the middle and then place that like so. The final item we have to attach is this cute little pocket here. And this is going to get glue all around the curved edge. Again, thin line as close as you can get. And I'm going to put that right about there. Now I'm going to let this dry before I put my ephemera in. So now everything is dry and I'm ready to pop that ephemera in. I've got this little flower card and I'm going to slide that under this band here at the top. For the large pocket, I've got 3 pieces. I've got this letter, or an envelope rather. And this is a layered pocket, so you can decide exactly how you want everything to peek out. I'm going to do mine with that all the way in the back. And then I've got a couple more pieces. I'm going to put this one in between and then just kind of pop that one in there. In the little pocket, I have a bottle and this cute little mushroom picture. And for the bottom, I've got a little receipt and another flower card. Those will just layer right under there. And that is our finished pouch. Now, you might be fine with leaving this loose, especially if it's going into a journal, but if you want to use a fastener, then I recommend these little Velcro dots. I'll link them in the description down below, but there is a fuzzy side and a clear grippy side. And I'm just going to pop that on there and press it down. And now I have a little Velcro closure to keep that shut. The fastener isn't mandatory. You could even wrap some twine around here. You could punch a hole and put some string in here and wrap it around. There are a lot of different ways to fasten this piece. So use your creativity and what you have and find a way that works for you. Next, we're moving on to what I have labeled as the mini folio. There is one piece that definitely needs to be printed front and back, and that is this panel here. It is on a sheet by itself. Optionally, you can also print the other side of the envelope just so that whenever it is opened, it has a nice finished inside. For pre-folding everything, let me move some of this out of the way. There is a tab that's going to get folded in half. There is a larger tag, and I'll go over this again in a minute, but you're going to fold on these creases. You're going to fold this side in first and then fold this side over the top. For the large panel, you're going to crease it right here on either side where it meets, and it makes little doors on the front. And then for the envelope, you're going to fold these little tabs in on either side. Flip the bottom up, you'll be able to see the line there. And then keep in mind this top line does not meet the tabs. There's a little space between the top of the tabs and that line. So don't fold all the way down to the tabs on this side, fold on the line on the front. So I'm going to start with this panel here and grab this band and 2 pockets. I'm going to grab my Fabri-Tac and making sure that I have this turned the right way, that our bottles and jars are sitting on the shelf the correct way before I glue these in. I am going to put that thin line of glue right around 3 edges on these little pockets. It doesn't matter which side you put each one on, but when you put it on, butt it up against the outside edge. So I'm going all the way to the left here. And then do that little fold test. Just to make sure everything is closing nicely. And I'm going to repeat that on the right-hand side. Let's move some of these things out of the way. Nice thin line of glue. All the way to the right side. And again, give it that fold test. On the center panel, we're going to add a belly band that's going to have a little glue on the short ends, on the top and the bottom. And I'm just going to center that up like so. I'm going to flip this over, and on the back side, we have a large pocket that is identical to the back panel. And we're going to glue that on by gluing 3 sides. So we're going to leave the cutout free and just run that glue all around the 3 sides. And line that right up with that back panel so that the print matches. If for some reason you find you have a little overhang or something like that, you can trim that off later. Sometimes, especially if we're cutting by hand, those edges don't line up perfectly, or sometimes we get a little off when we fold. So don't stress about that. You can always take your scissors, and if you have a little something you don't like the look of, you can trim it up or put a little ink over it and it'll disappear. So I'm going to put this base panel to the side and grab my envelope. I'm going to fold those tabs in, and then each tab is going to get a nice thin layer of glue. And then press that bottom pocket flap to the tabs. I'm going to set this to the side, and let's do this tag. So for the tag, I'm going to fold this panel in, and then I'm going to put a good layer of glue. This is the only piece where a glue stick might make sense. Got a little blobby stuff here from my glue. Let's get rid of that. All right, so we've got a nice coating on there. I'm going to press this down firmly. And then this triangular piece is just going to fold over that panel, and we're going to glue just two sides, the bottom and then this little short side, to make a pocket. On the top of this, we're going to add our tab. It's the same on both sides, so it doesn't matter which direction it is when you put it on. Put a little bit of glue on both sides. And just clip that onto the top. Let's make sure it's on straight. And fairly centered. Now, if you have anything that didn't line up, again, you can trim it with your scissors or put a little distress ink on it and make it disappear. It's really easy to make adjustments like that when doing these projects. Once everything is dry, we're going to put this all together. So let's start with the envelope. We've got a couple pieces of ephemera to tuck inside of there. This is also a great place if you have a lot of ephemera left from your little file folders. You could add some of those pieces in here. And I'm just going to pop this right under this band. There we go. And to keep that envelope company, I've got this little Apothecary scene and another floral paper, and I'm going to slide those under there as well. Each of these side pockets gets a bottle. Let's pop that in there, and this one over here. So there's our little doors. I'm going to give this one more crease. And flip it over. And now we've got the pocket on our tag, and there are 3 pieces of ephemera for in there. We've got the feathers. It kind of goes with our bird on the other side. Another little note piece. And this pretty label kind of tag. And then this entire thing is going to slip down into this pocket, and it's going to peek over the top, like so. Now, this piece may be finished for you, especially if you're putting it inside of a journal. But if you want to keep this shut, I recommend putting some ribbon around here and tying a nice bow, or you could add a couple of fasteners and do kind of a figure 8 kind of situation. You can close this up any way that you like, but this is the finished mini folio. Now we're down to the 4th and final project. This is labeled as just folio. This is a large full-size folio. It is still sized, so it could fit in your journal, and it does have kind of a pull-out feature on it, which is fun, so I think it'd be a great addition to a journal. Otherwise, it's a nice standalone piece if you just enjoy doing these projects. There are 2 panels that need to be printed front and back. This one here needs to have the paper printed on the reverse side, and this one with the books on it also needs the paper printed on the reverse side. For folding, this piece is just going to get folded along the crease, and I do fold these both directions just to get them kind of broken in. And then this piece has a tab and a connection right here between this side panel and this main panel. So make sure that these kind of go both ways and are broken in a bit. And there is one tab as well, and that's going to get folded in half. So I'm going to kind of move everything out of the way. Everything's on the larger size for this project. And I am going to flip this so that the backer paper is up and that my book panel can fold in like so. And I'm going to bring this piece over and I'm going to line this tab up, and we're going to glue that tab down to the other panel. So I'm just going to flip this. I've inked everything so you can really see those creases. I do like putting ink on my creases. I think it gives a nice finished look. But with this being printed fully on both sides, you should have some print in there regardless, and it should look nice for you. So I am going to try, let me do it this way, and just line those up, top and bottom. Got a little extra glue there. And then I'm going to fold this up so this has kind of a pull action. And I'm going to make sure that this edge is nice and even on this side. So now I have something that looks like this. We're going to start adding pockets to the inside. So the first pocket I'm going to add is this mushroom pocket, and it's going to cover up our tab. So I'm going to grab this, and the glue is going to go on the short sides and then this long side here. So I'm going to flip it over and then kind of turn it so I can hold it in my left hand. But make sure you're getting the glue on the correct side, the correct long side. And then I'm going to put this in here along the crease, and then as always, I'm going to do a fold check. I'm going to make sure that that's kind of butted up pretty well, but that this is going to open and close nicely. Now I've got some layered pockets that are going to go on either side here. So these ones are going to go where this crease is. They're going to get centered between this crease and the side, and the other two get centered between the mushroom pocket and that front panel. I'm going to start with the tan one and just do the 3 sides like so. And we're going to want this to butt as close to the right as possible, because this is more of a free edge where this is a closing edge. So just bring that over, check your fold, and then this pocket is going to layer right on top of that one. On the 3 sides, leave that angled one open. And I'm just going to line that up right at the bottom and again on this right side. And again, do a fold check and make sure I don't have any extra glue coming out there. And now let's move over to the left side. So same thing, these are very similar pockets. Going to start with the tan one and get those 3 sides. All the way to the left. Check your fold. And then repeat that with the layering pocket. Let's glue those 3 sides. And line it up on the left and bottom. And one last time, check our fold. I'm going to look and see they were poking out at the bottom there, so I'm going to give that a little push up. Let's check this one. That looks pretty good. Again, remember, you can trim or ink anything that's kind of peeking over the edge that doesn't look really good. You can make it disappear one way or the other. Now I'm going to take this and flip it over. In fact, to make it a little easier visually for you, I'm just going to fold over here at the mushroom pocket. And I'm going to be working on these two panels here. And I've got a couple of pieces. I have a matching print. This is not going to line up, but it is creating almost a hidden pocket effect. And then I have this panel that I'm just going to glue down. If you want, you could turn this into some kind of flip by just gluing the top, but I'm going to glue the entire piece down centered on that panel. So just a generous amount of glue. Let's get that centered up as best we can. And then this pocket, we want to have the left side open. So I'm going to just flip this over. Get that right side glued, and then the top and the bottom. And I'm going to place that pretty close to the edge. It doesn't need to go all the way to the edge, just most of the way to the edge. That way, when this piece is folded over, we don't have anything showing here, but then when we flip it up, there is a little secret pocket there. The next piece we're going to attach is our tab. I'm going to glue this. This is very similar to the mini folio. Just a little coating of glue on the entire inside surface. This one is only printed on one side. I'm going to put that flower up, and I'm going to just pinch that on here at about the center. And then I'm going to check my placement and make sure I'm happy with that. On the other side, you might decide that you want to move this over a little bit. However you decide to do it, that is the correct way to do it. So just place that tab like so. So now we have a pull tab for our pull out action. Now we're to the point where we're going to let this dry really well before we put the ephemera in. So this is good and dry, and I'm going to start putting in the ephemera. I'm going to start on the left-hand side. I have this taller bookmark style piece. I'm going to pop that in here, and a bottle and mushroom card. I'm going to put those in the lower pocket. In the center, I have this large receipt style card. I'm just going to slide that in. I think maybe down that way, and then an oval tag. And on the right hand side, I've got another tall bookmark type card and another bottle and decorative tag. Inside of this pocket, I have this really pretty floral bottle and some pressed flowers. And then there are a few extra ephemera pieces, and you can do with these whatever you like. They're a little smaller. The back of this is plain, so if you want to glue this into a journal, you can just pop that in on your page. You have a pull out and a flip out and all kinds of exciting things going on. But if you want to make this a standalone piece, you might decide to use some extra scrap paper and do some collage work on here with the bottle. There's some options for you, or leave this plain and just tuck these pieces somewhere inside of the folio just to kind of finish it off. I can pop my little bottle there, add another little tag on that side and one on that side, and one more tag poking out right there. And that is it for the larger folio. Now, just like the other pieces, this should stay closed pretty well, and if you're adding it to a journal, you shouldn't need to do anything else to this. However, you could add magnets or a Velcro dot in this area. You can hide half of it underneath there if you're using a magnet, and the other half inside of this tab to do a little magnet. You can use the Velcro dots here and maybe another one on the bottom corners here and here where those contact points are, so that you have to kind of pop it up and then pull it out. You could also just put some pretty ribbon around the whole thing. You could punch a hole here and attach the ribbon to the hole. Lots of ideas on how to secure this, so choose the one that you like best. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the Twilight Apothecary project kit. I had a lot of fun designing this one and coming up with different ways to store all these little bits and bobs, and I really enjoyed it. I hope you did too. Again, if you want to pick up this kit, it is in my Etsy shop. The link is in the description down below. You can get a free 5th project by signing up for the email list. And not only will you get that project, but you'll get all future free projects. There's a new one every Friday. There's a new freebie in general for junk journaling or project making every single Friday. So head down, sign up, get those updates. I also send out coupon codes and new product alerts, so stay informed with all of that. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.